Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN here, and I am back with Vince Ingenito. How's it going, sir?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
It's hard to be doing bad when you're playing Diablo 3, right?
That's true.
So this is the second installment of our IGN Let's Play series with Diablo 3 on Inferno difficulty here on the console version. We're playing the Xbox 360 version, more specifically Vince is, because Vince, you reviewed it, and you take it quite like the game. Otherwise, why would you still be playing it?
That's true. I mean, you know, even the PC version, which I definitely had some reservations with, I even played that one for about 200 hours. So, you know, the combat is just that good.
What's a few dozen more?
Exactly,
a few dozen more hours.
And I honestly, Ryan, I can see myself playing the console version a lot more than I played the PC version, even as many hours I put into that because of the loot drops, like we were talking about a little bit last time.
You bet.
There's just so much. The legendaries drop so much more frequently, and not too much where you think it's just ridiculous.
Right,
but
it's just been tuned up nicely, right?
It's tuned up nicely to where if you farm for a couple of hours, you'll actually get a nice reward out of it, and something you can point to and go, you see, this is what I spent my 2 hours doing.
So we're still here in Act 1. You're getting deeper into Act 1. You've got your very well-equipped witch doctor doing some work here for you.
Absolutely.
We took a look. I was drooling in our first episode over Messerschmitt's Reaver, which returns from Diablo. I believe it was Diablo 1, which I spent. Now, I got it in Diablo.
Oh, really?
And it took me a long time to get it. And clearly it's taken you quite a while, too, because you said last time that you got it around Act 2
of Hell
difficulty. So that's a good, 40-plus hours into the game.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, you know what's funny? I didn't mention this last time, but I actually had 2 Messerschmitts drop. And this happens, and I don't know.
Did you save one for me?
Actually, I did.
I am gonna need one.
It's still in my in my stash. Excellent. Although I grounded that one for this one because this one's stats were better. But obviously, the other Messerschmitt is still pretty darn good.
Excellent, Vince. Deckard Cain approves of your gift to your friends.
I will always save for my friend Deckard.
I wonder how low the viewership would be if I tried to do my Deckard Cain impression for the entire 15-minute Let's Play.
Well, Ryan McCaffrey, there's only one way to find out.
Would it last, would we get like 8 seconds worth of views, and that would be it. But yeah, so again, we're doing this with the idea, this is the hardest difficulty in the game. This is as hardcore as it gets. We wanted to do this, in case you either don't think you'll play that, you're interested in Diablo, but you don't think you'll invest this much time in it. You at least get to see what Inferno difficulty is like. Or if you do plan on getting this far, this gives you a sneak peek on what you're in for. So, so Vince, kind of talk to me about the difference between playing through this on normal the first time through the game and now.
Well, one difference is that you want to know, this is something you probably won't expect, but I think one of the hardest parts of Diablo 3, which is not, I think, overall, except if you're playing on like very high level Inferno with monster power turned way up. Generally, Diablo 3 isn't that difficult of a game, but I think one of the biggest difficulty spikes is actually when you first start the game. Because you have no gear. If you start on what the console version calls normal, which is actually the equivalent. A lot of people don't understand this. It's actually the equivalent of Monster Power 2 from the PC. Okay. So that's not like if you play standard difficulty level and the default normal in this when you start out, you're actually not playing what PC players played when they first started the game. You're playing something that's harder, and that shows because enemies they hit harder and they have more. And they had a lot more hit points. So whereas when I first started playing the game on PC the first time through, I was pretty much one-hitting everything as soon as I got my first decent weapon. When I was playing through it the first time in this, I mean, I actually had to hit things 4 and 5 times. And I'm like, what's going on here? Do I just suck now? Has it been so long since I've played the early levels that I forgot this is how it was? But then I realized what was going on. When you shift it to easy, that's actually what the game's really, the original beginning of the PC version was like. And that's just, I mean, there's no bones about it. It's just laughably easy, Ryan. I mean, like, you can basically go AFK and just hit buttons and you'll be fine.
So you're saying the console version is the true manly version?
That's basically what I'm basically saying.
No, I don't want to start any PC bullet.
No, I do. Basically, if you play on PC, you're amateur hour. Is what I'm saying. Okay. So Come at me, PC.
Now,
PC
Vince
Master
is
Race.
new. He is joking. Just to clarify, he's got a little bit of a weird sense of humor. So, what else did we talk about here? I mean,
well, I mean, in terms of but you were asking me like, how does it ramp up, and what are the main differences? I mean, the simple difference is that obviously everything hits harder and can take hits better. But a more significant difference, I think, the main thing that really like personifies Inferno for me is the elite packs. When you are playing on the lowest difficulty level, the elite packs, they just have one modifier. So like Vampiric, they might gain life back from damaging you, or shielded, where they will sometimes put up a shield where they're immune to your damage. Like they'll only have one of those, ever have one of those. Once you get into Inferno, those packs of elites will have up to 4 of those different modifiers, and some of those combinations of modifiers, they synergize in these really crazy ways that suddenly make normal mobs like harder than bosses.
I'm immune to everything.
Exactly, they're just like immune to what you're doing, and then like the best are like, okay, so we're fighting. Okay, so here's a good example. Yeah. Here's Mortar. Here's a mortar mob. Now mortars are nasty because like they fire this mortar attack.
Yeah, I see Sludge the Greedy over there.
Yeah, and at mid range, that just does tons of damage. So you're like, oh, no problem. I'll just stay up close to them, and then I won't have an issue.
He's Vampiric. He reflects.
Right.
He has extra damage.
Yeah.
And
so
he
like,
volleys mortars at you.
Right. So you're like Vampiric, and he reflects. I don't want to stand in front of this guy and trade blows. Like, or even worse, you'll get ones that are mortar and they're nightmarish, which means that when they hit you, you actually run away. So you're trying to stay up close in that area where their mortar isn't a factor, and they hit you, and you just involuntarily run right back into their mortar. So the game does all kinds of devious things to you like that on Inferno, just these crazy combinations of modifiers that make fights that would normally be like cakewalks into, whoa, what am I fighting right now? So
yeah, I would say, if you're a real old school console gamer, well, not real old school, but old school as far as let's just go back last decade to the original Xbox PS2 generation, which is not old school at all.
Not in the least.
But and you're because we went through a period where there were hardly any action RPGs, hardly any hack and slash dungeon crawlers. And fortunately, there's been a bit of a renaissance the last few years, but this game, I'd say Diablo 3 on console, it's a little reminiscent, and I mean this, I'm not directly comparing them, but if you enjoyed Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
The first thing, when you said action RPGs from that era, that's the first thing I thought was
that's
Dark
really
Alliance.
what sort of the vibe you get from Diablo. Right down to the controls even feel kind of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance-ish.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree, and it's pretty crazy that you have to go that far back.
It is.
To say what the last really prominent action RPG on console was that really like took off critically, took off sales-wise. Like I could be totally wrong. Maybe like if you could rack your brain too.
Well,
I can't think of one this generation.
Torchlight on the Xbox, which was of course ported over from PC. But yeah, I mean Champions of Norath on PS2, which was an EverQuest game.
That was
which was done by the same studio. Yeah, Snowblind Studios. May they rest in peace.
Yep.
But yeah, boy, it is so good to have Blizzard making console games again. It's been so long since they've done so. Blackthorn.
Yeah, Blackthorn. I mean, Lost Vikings. I mean, they used to have a reputation on console like, long ago. People forget about that. If this is any indication of them going forward with some kind of a initiative to try to enter the console space again, I certainly wouldn't be unhappy. I mean, I think we all know that Blizzard in general creates very high-quality products, and to see them put their... I can't tell you what I would give to see a console-exclusive Blizzard game where they really just started from the ground up designing a game as a console experience.
That would be interesting.
I would be... I mean, the last time we even had anything come close to that they were going to do was, obviously, you want to talk about Rest in Peace, there was StarCraft Ghost.
Which I saw... I saw it at E3 one year. It was there.
Really?
Yeah, I have borne witness to it before its cancellation.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can actually find, I think, old 10 minutes of gameplay that were never officially released.
Yeah.
Really look. And it just makes you sad. You're just like, ugh, the things that could have been. I think that game was such a good concept. And they just create such good worlds, and they have such a great art department, and they have such a good sense of mechanics. I mean, if this is any indication, I mean, I gave this game a pretty good review. I gave it a 9. if this is any indication of what they can do with the console hardware and with the the console feel and experience, then I just want to see them pile on more.
I agree. So one of the big questions now that people are getting their hooks into Diablo 3 on console. We don't know anything yet, but Vince, what's your take on? Do you think that the upcoming Diablo 3 expansion pack will make its way to the console versions?
So obviously, this is just going to be speculation on my part. We don't have any confirmation or word one way or the other, so I just want to make that clear. But I just want anyone listening or watching this to think about this for a moment. Imagine the investor call, where an investor call where this happens.
Yeah.
They go, they say, "Hey, do you guys want to print money?" And then the other person's like...
Is that how investor calls go?
Pretty much, Ryan. I come from the business world. That's how it works. Do you want to make money? And then imagine the other person saying, "Nope."
Nah.
If you can't imagine that, then I can't imagine how the expansion won't come to the consoles. I don't see why they would do that.
When you put it that way, Vince. Well, here's the better. Is there a downloadable content interface within the game? In the menu system, or back at the main menu?
A good question. Off the top of my head, I don't remember it. I think this might be. If you want me to jump out,
we'll check later and get back to you.
But yeah, essentially, I can't see why. It's the same reason why this game came to the console, though. If you spent, look at all. I said in my review, the visual fidelity isn't impressive, but look at the artwork. Look at the roof of that house. Look at all the detail on the leaves in the foreground here.
The art direction is phenomenal.
They put a lot of money. There's a lot of money on the screen right now, even if it's not technically showing. It's definitely there in the art and the production value and the time they put into this game. If you put that much resource into creating a game, you absolutely, especially with how expensive it is to create games nowadays, and especially when you have development cycles that are as long as Blizzard's, they want every return on their investment they can get, and that's why they released this version. So if they're going to put in a lot of time and money to develop that expansion on PC, I can't see why they wouldn't want to get the maximum return on their investment.
Now, you were back in town a minute ago. Of course, one of the things you can do in town is actually craft items.
Yes.
How is that different on Inferno difficulty? Is there anything worth crafting when you get that far?
That's a good question. And overall, I would say, the answer is yes. It just depends on, just like with the loot, with the standard loot game, it depends a little bit on luck of the draw. So, you have your standard levels of crafting items that the blacksmith automatically just learns as you level him up.
Yeah.
Right? And those items start to not have as much of a role, I would say, as you get deeper and deeper into Inferno and you start getting some best-in-slot items, for your character. But the one part of crafting that stays relevant, I would say, depending on what kind of build you want to do, is you can, if you're really lucky, you can have rare and legendary blacksmithing plans drop off of enemies, and those plans allow you to craft legendaries that you will not find as a drop anywhere. Like they cannot drop. The only way to get them is to get that plan and then get together the components to build them. And usually to build them, you need a crafting component that's only gettable by salvaging and trashing other legendaries.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Which
inside.
Really hurts, exactly, because you're like, oh, I got this awesome legendary and it's high level and it's pretty good, but I want a chance at something better, so you sack it for the chance to do that. So so I would say at the higher end, the crafting continues to be relevant as long as you can kind of luck out and get access to one of those legendary crafting plans.
You're playing some defense here.
And which is important with these guys, because as powerful as my character is at this point, as much as I'm plowing through a lot, they have this special attack where they rear back with their mallet, and that does so much. That attack right there, that does so much burst damage that even with how much healing I get from my fire bats, I cannot possibly heal fast enough to tank that damage.
Let's
like,
see,
that will probably
we'll finish up this battle, and then our 15 minutes for this episode will be up.
Sounds good.
I have faith in you, Vince.
Oh, I got you.
I like the confidence. You've barely been scratched so far during our Let's Play videos.
Hold that. And Paragon level 1.
Perfect way to end it. So, we'll talk more about Paragon levels in the next episode here. Tune in tomorrow on IGN. We are playing, we're doing at least 4 of these. We're starting with 4 Let's Plays of IGN's Diablo 3 on Inferno difficulty here on the console version of the game. So, for Vince, I'm Ryan, and join us back tomorrow.
We found it.